All right, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Wanted to jump in here after the final day of training camp here that fans will be allowed to be at. Moving forward to be media, I believe, will have some days to be able to join practice. But your Detroit Lions have now closed their final camp date before cuts with the joint practice with the Texans. A lot came out of this camp. Eric Rintamaki is going to join us here live via phone and talk to us about what he noticed at camp. And then we have some big injury news that is also coming out of today's camp, which is, it's not great. Just did a video about Josh Paschal and what the potential for him coming back. It looks bleak right now for him coming back soon. It's going to be several weeks yet. And now another very important piece to this offense has gone down. And so we'll talk about all that and more. Let me bring Eric in here, and we'll get some. We're kind of just going to go back and forth, kind of talk about some things that I'm seeing online and what he saw today as far as practice. So, Eric, I have you live on the line now. Are you with us?
I am.
All right, buddy. By the way, nice picture, you freaking goofball. Always got to be doing something extra, man. Eric is always extra, but it looked good, man. It was a perfect thumbnail for today.
Yeah. At the podium, man. I was giving my speech.
There you go. Well, first I got to thank you, man, because you reciprocated the gesture and sent me tickets to go to today's camp. I couldn't make it, but I'm glad you got to go and have some fun today. So I guess let's just start with the first question. Did the Lions look good today? Like, if you were to give them a score of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, overall, both sides, where would you put them?
Okay, so I only got to see the offense versus the defense until the very, very end of practice. So on the side I was on, it was our offense versus their defense. And in 11-on-11s, the Lions went 5 series scoring a touchdown, 1 series going 3 and out, and 1 series with an interception. So I would say it was 5-2 if you're keeping score.
Yeah, but what kind of score would you give them as far as a grade? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best,
grade?
and how they performed today?
I'm going to say probably a B+ today for the offense. A B or a B+. They pretty much were dominant on every series. And if Khalif Raymond runs the proper route, there is no ball thrown into the dirt in the back of the end zone, which they did later and did get a touchdown to Khalif Raymond. 5 different people got touchdowns. And I just think that the offense as a whole, the ones versus their defense, our offense looked amazing. The running game was there. The passing game was there. There was no trickery, none of that stuff. It was just smash mouth football. I don't think the Texans were ready for what they walked into today, a hornet's nest. When they did get the 1 interception, the guy threw the ball up into the stands, and then when Amon-Ra scored his touchdown, he threw his ball up into the stands.
Of course he did. You don't do that crap at our place, man.
Yeah.
You know. So all right, so let me ask you a few questions. We'll slow it down for a little bit. I read some reports that it was a fairly even practice today. So obviously the Lions winning a little bit on offense, winning a little bit on defense. The Texans also having some success today. It wasn't, a blowout like it was versus the Dolphins, which we would expect as we're getting a little bit later into training camp, that these teams are starting to, understand what they're doing. They're playing, well together. But then towards the end of practice, so I'm going to skip to the very end for just a moment, and then we'll come back. We lost potentially a major piece to this offense. What happened?
Well, I think it's a little too premature for that, but you heard a scream on the field, and Graham Glasgow was down. And he gets up, and he walks very gingerly, limping. And he limps about 20 yards away, lays down on the field, and 4 trainers attend to him for about 10 minutes. And I'm trying to pay attention to the 2-minute drill and pay attention to him. And at first they were looking at his ankle, and then they were looking at his knee. And then he got up and was very gingerly walking around and had his head down and did not look happy. And even Brad Holmes and Sheila Hamp and everybody went walking by Graham Glasgow because he's all by himself there. And they come walking across the field, and Brad does the look to the left. Oh man, that's not good. So,
let me get through this, I guess, a little bit.
Yep.
So he goes down, but he pops up and he starts walking towards the sideline.
Yep.
Okay.
Immediately takes his helmet off. Well, not the sideline, kind of the middle of the field where nobody was at.
Gotcha. Okay, so from that point, he still doesn't have trainers yet, so he's walking under his own power.
Yep.
Okay. Then he lays down. Trainers come in. They're working on him. They're looking at his lower leg, right leg or left leg. Do you remember?
Left leg.
Left leg.
So I thought they were working his left knee, but when he first did it, he was limping like it was his ankle, and he was reaching down like it was his ankle. And then when he laid on the ground, then they were looking at his knee, I think, just to make sure that was okay. But earlier in the practice, Vaki went down.
Well, hold on. I don't want to get off Glasgow just yet.
Oh, okay.
What I'm wondering here is he's reaching at his ankle area. They're looking at his ankle area. Then they're looking at the knee.
Yep.
You know, sometimes when you blow out an Achilles, it feels like you got kicked or you got shot in the leg. There's sudden pain in the back of the ankle, right, or the calf area. And then it can also extend up to the knee. I mean, I know there's like the Thompson's test, there's a range of motion test and some other things.
They were doing.
Yeah, there's all different types of things that they can do on the field to kind of figure out, you know, did the knee loosen up? Obviously I'm not a doctor, but you usually want to squeeze the calf, and if you have a normal response, and if the foot's pointing down, then if there's no movement, then it would suggest that there's a rupture. But then he got up and walked again though without help, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, they didn't get the cart and bring the cart out or anything like that. So I don't think.
Let's just hope it's a scare. Let's just hope it's a scare. So, all right, if it's not a scare, let's walk through it. If he is down, well, we have Tate Rowledge that's going to slide over. We have Kingsley Egwakan, who's probably going to then make the roster. Tate's probably going to be our center, I would think, to start. Now, Kingsley did step in from what I remember reading earlier and did finish the practice at center, correct?
Yeah, it was only a couple more plays. Yeah.
See, that's the part that sucks, man. It's the end of practice, and then you get injured. So had they just taken him out a little bit earlier, which they're not going to do because they're trying to finish practice, you can't do anything about it, you know?
No. I think it's just he got rolled up on, somebody stepped on his ankle, somebody stepped on his foot, and he was planted or something. You know, I think it was unavoidable, but he did have a big like wrap on his right elbow. And that was there the whole practice, the whole time.
So the scream you heard, you that was a Graham Glasgow scream?
I don't know. I don't know if it was Graham or somebody, you know, hey, you know, get him some help or whatever, because it took him a second and he got up and limped away, and you could tell he was mad. Took his helmet right off, and he looked pissed off.
See, that's when you know, like that is the telltale sign of a major injury. Typically, when a player's pissed. Like they're pissed because their season just ended. They're pissed because they know that they just let their team down. Their body let them, let them down. That's usually a telltale sign that they know something significant happened. Now, even if you have a ruptured Achilles or, so you could typically still walk, right? I mean, it's painful. You're going to limp, but it's not going to stop you from walking. I'm thinking of like the Aaron Rodgers thing now. He blows out, gosh, was that an ACL or an Achilles? I don't remember now. But you watched it. I think it was Achilles. You watched it move in the back of the calf. He was still able to walk,
Well,
and
I'll say this. I was there when Okudah blew his out, and this is nothing like that.
Yeah, I mean, Okudah he's a sissy dog anyway. Okay, so then, all right, we'll get off Graham Glasgow for a minute. Look, I hope he's okay. Sure. I hope this is a nothing burger and it's just another scare that we're going to have to deal with. But my God, the injuries are just plaguing this team already, and we're not even to week 1 yet.
Nope.
Josh Paschal's not going to be with us for several weeks. He is not going to make the roster now, which makes a little bit more sense as to why Mekhi Wingo was probably elevated. But then Dan Campbell this morning gave an update on Mekhi Wingo and pretty much said that they don't really have a ton of time to evaluate him. And before we get to Vaki, I want to say this. I want to get your opinion on this too.
Yep.
Why on earth did we bring a guy back off a list when you could have kept him on the list and to miss 4 games if you feel like you don't have enough time to evaluate? And then he says, well, we have to make a decision, either way here relatively soon. I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand why you just didn't leave him on the list, let him do his thing and get healthy, because if he can't help you in the first 4 weeks, what was the point of bringing him back? You just ruined a roster spot. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy about that. I was trying to listen to Dan's press conference this morning, but it was really loud in the stands.
Oh, yeah.
And they were playing music and the PA announcer and stuff. So I didn't catch that about Wingo. But, yeah, that's kind of disappointing. So they're either going to have to put his feet to the fire or shelf him. And that would not be too great.
I hope that they don't have to shelve him. But I mean, even if they do, you bring him back and then you could put him on IR to return, and that's still 4 weeks. Yeah. So all right, so let's move on to Vaki, man. So Sione Vaki had an incredible game last week against the Dolphins. Brief stint, but really good runs. Looks great. Couple of good plays on special teams. And what happened today with him?
Yeah, he was looking great this morning, and then right down in front of me after a play, he's laying on the ground right in front of me, 5 feet away. And they're working on his left knee, and they're bending it, and they're feeling all the tendons on the sides of the knee and everything. I'm like, no, please, no. And they worked on him for a good 5 minutes or so. He pops up. He was perfect, went back into practice. So
okay, so that's better news.
Yes, that was good. So he went back into practice, and he did just fine. He ran pretty well today with the 2s and 3s. And then the only other
no one action today. No one action.
What's that?
No action with the ones today for him.
Not that I noticed.
Okay.
Not that I noticed.
Was he in teams today returning kicks at all?
No, I did not see that.
Okay. Did you see who was by chance? Was Grant Stewart back there again?
Yes, and the thing about Grant Stewart, the very first one that they ran against the Texans, guess what he did?
Did he fumble the ball again?
Exactly like the first game. Right up the middle, pop, ball came out, and Texans just erupted. I was like, oh, thank God Grant Stewart is not doing this in the real games.
Well, now he might be. I mean, he's part of that plan. He may not be in the first team, but he's part of the plan to get, extra reps right now to see where he fits onto the special teams, according to the reports. And then after the press conference last week, post game, that's what it sounds like. And then even some of the media evaluation this week with David Phipp, special teams coach for the Detroit Lions, he also mentioned the same thing, that they were going to be getting Grant Stewart some more looks back there, but working on ball security. Well, clearly that didn't happen. He's got to figure out a way to wrap that ball up. I mean, the most important thing is when you feel like you're about to make contact, he's either got to go down with 2 hands around the ball and barrel his way through, right? Put the head down and barrel your way through, or you've got to clutch. You got to clutch that wrist and hold that ball nice and tight. So hopefully he gets it figured out. I don't want to see Grant Stewart right now returning kicks with 2 fumbles in preseason. All right, so now let's walk through. Earlier today when I called you, you gave me a whole rundown on the offense. And since you got to see a lot of the offense today, walk us through how the offense looked, I guess, from start to finish, and how well prepared they do or don't look.
Well, they came out really strong in the very beginning. I mean, running the ball, passing the ball. Jared Goff looked really crisp to start. I can't remember who scored the first touchdown. I don't remember them in order, but you had rushing touchdowns by Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And then you had passing touchdowns from J-Mo, Khalif Raymond, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And the one to J-Mo, That ball flew at least 60 yards in the air to the back of the end zone, and he caught it in the corner, clutch, wide open, and oh my God, the whole place erupted.
Hold on, rewind. Yep. Who threw the pass?
Jared Goff.
How far?
At least 60 yards in the air.
But he can't throw the ball that far.
I know, he can't throw the deep ball, and he's got tiny hands.
Huh. Yeah, and he sucks in cold weather too.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
outdoors every week.
All these SOL in there. And Hendon Hooker should have started over him last year. 60-yard bomb by Jared Goff in practice today again. That's the second time he's done that, at least this preseason. He's been able to release that football and reach out and touch somebody with it. That's good news. So Khalif Raymond had one. Amon-Ra St. Brown had one. How about Jahmyr Gibbs? Was he active in the pass game today at all?
Yeah, he was, and he was split out wide a few times. Nice. He caught probably 5 or 6 balls, and his touchdown was a handoff in the backfield out of under the gun, and Goff just turns around, gives him the ball. He cuts it to the right, goes out wide, and he was gone.
Oh, so we got a long TD on the ground?
Oh, yeah, it was like 30 or 40 yards. Yeah, nobody touched him. Nobody. Okay. He's so much faster than everyone else on the field.
So I guess my bigger question would be, now Al Miller has a question in the chat for us on how did the defense do on pass rushing. So Mueller, Eric was not on that side of the field. We'll get his comments in just a moment on anything that he did see, but I do want the opposite question. The opposite to that is, how did the Texans defense do on pass rushing versus our O-line?
Now, I'm going to say this. Will Anderson is a beast. He made Penei Sewell look like a child two plays in a row.
What?
Yes.
What?
It was silly. Penei didn't even have a chance.
What kind of move are we talking? Are we talking a spin move? Or are we just talking a straight bull rush?
It was more straight, and just got around him twice. Once to the inside, once to the outside, 2 plays in a row, and Penei was none too happy. But the rest of the practice, he did pretty good. But that was early on, and that might have been on the play where Jared Goff threw the interception.
Okay, so we did have a Jared Goff interception.
Yes, we did. There was one interception. It wasn't very pretty. And then there was a couple balls where Goff had to throw it away, or it went off the receiver's fingertips. Like Laporta had would have been a first down in the 2-minute drill, but went right off of his fingertips as he was going out of bounds.
Okay, so it was a well-placed ball, though, just a little bit outside?
I thought Goff just put it a little bit to the left, a little bit to the outside on him, but he was putting in the proper spot because he didn't want anyone else to get it,
Right. Well, Goff is really great at throwing the ball away and making that decision quickly to navigate, through his progressions, and then if no one's home to get rid of it. But let's rewind here back to the interception and Mr. Will Anderson's abusive behavior on Penei Sewell. So obviously, like Trace said, Penei probably had a couple of off plays, but this is something I'll go back to last year. Penei Sewell's run blocking is by far the best in the league, right? His pass pro, when you look at his scores on PFF and even look at some of the games, his pass pro has struggled. And this is, I guess, taking another look at it this year, we'll see how he does. But he struggled last season in pass pro. And if Will Anderson is getting the best of him, one, it's practice. I get it. They're trying to simulate a game. Maybe he was having an off day. I could understand that. Every player does. But I'm getting a little concerned that his pass pro is not in the best of shape or hasn't been. I mean, Will Anderson is a top dog in this league. We know that. You're not going to win every rep, just like Aiden Hutchinson. You're not going to win every rep. But I do get a little concerned about his pass pro. I hope. And there were some comments made by some of the other analysts that work for, for the big 3 and 4 letter agencies that have kind of said the same thing, that he shouldn't be ranked as high as he is with his pass protection suffering as much as it has. However, that's why you have a smart quarterback that can still get rid of the football. Keep our eyes on this as the season wanes on. Any comments on that at all? Oh, did we lose Eric? Eric, you still there? I think we lost him. Lost him earlier too. It's like my phone doesn't want to dial either. Hold on. Yeah, we ain't even gotten to that part yet, as far as Hutch and how he did today. Yeah, it's going to voicemail. So we'll wait and see if he calls back. And while we're waiting for that, yeah, he just texted me, so he should be calling back here shortly. While we're waiting for that, let me go into some of the Twitter updates for today. There he is. All right, you're back on the line there?
Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
I tried to call you back a bunch and
it just went dead. Yeah, it just went dead.
Yeah. I don't know what went on.
So I was talking about Penei Sewell and the fact that his pass pro was lackluster last year. I'll bring up the PFF stats, but I mean, did you notice anything outside of those 2 plays that were really concerning at all?
No, that was it. Just 2 plays that I saw. And the 2 guys that were sitting next to me, they were watching Penei on every play.
Okay.
They were there watching him. And
yeah, what team were they from?
No, they were from our team. They were Detroit guys. Yeah. I only saw 2 Texans fans there. And it even said when you went in, no logos for any other teams, and yet they still had Texan stuff on, which I thought was funny that they let them in.
What do you mean no logos for any other teams?
Yeah, it says no other team's logos at a little sign when you walk in.
I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, I saw it last time too. It's right when you walk through the tent to go in.
That's hilarious. Well, I love it. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so the reason why I mentioned his pass blocking grade, and I'm sure I'm going to probably get ripped up in the chat for even saying that, but go back and look at his pass blocking grade from last year. He was ranked 39th in the league. So his pass pro wasn't even of starting quality, according to PFF. Now his run blocking, 90. He was a 90.5. He was 2nd in the league. His overall grade, which obviously that run block grade, which is 16 points better than his pass pro. That's right, a 74.1 in pass pro. That's what brought that bar up, right? He went from, bottoms of the starters to, 4th in the league overall. If we were to compare him to everybody in the league, which I guess I could probably do that real quick. And I'll come back to that. Let's talk about David Montgomery for a minute. How was he today? Did he get a lot of looks running the football? Last week you had mentioned you thought David was going to get more opportunities while Jameer was out, catching the football. Did that happen today? What did you notice?
Yeah, so David Montgomery had a great, probably about 5 or 6 yard touchdown right up the middle. There was a hole you could have drove a Cadillac through.
Nice.
It was perfect. And he got quite a few looks at the running back position today, running the ball. It seemed like instead of doing because they couldn't do a whole series with David, a whole series with Gibbs. So a lot of the plays they were out there together, and the ones they weren't, they kind of like were switching off every other play. So it would be a handoff to Gibbs for 5 yards to the left, and then a handoff to David Montgomery up the middle for 4 yards, and then you got 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, and you throw a bomb to somebody. And that's something I really noticed about Johnny Morton. He is not afraid to uncork it.
Good.
That guy, I think you are going to see some very explosive plays out of the Lions this year, and even in the run game, because like JMO's run that he had for the touchdown, amazing long run. I think you're going to see lots of that this year.
Well, that's the one thing that he emphasized. You know, when one of his first conversations with the media this year was explosiveness. He doesn't want to change a ton of what the Lions have been doing, but his emphasis is explosiveness. He wants more explosive plays. So to me, that tells me he's going to be a little bit more risky with his passing style. I mean, in the run game, you can't just dial up an explosive run, right? I mean, it has to happen naturally. You can't say, all right, on this play, I want you to run for 25 yards. Like, oh, okay, I'd love to, but hey, I got to have a hole. But in the pass game, you can definitely dial up the explosiveness by getting guys out wide, getting them downfield, and then dropping Jared Goff, from the gun, maybe into a 5 or 7 step drop if needed. But David Montgomery, you said, had a couple of good runs.
Yes. Yep,
okay.
Yep.
So he was obviously getting utilized.
Nothing super long, but listen, they did not ignore the run game. But what it seemed like to me was if the Lions had 2 or 3, marginal plays where they're only getting 2 or 3 yards of play, and the Texans are, keeping it stuffed, Johnny Morton be like, okay, that's enough. Long bomb time, or some kind of explosive play time. It was like he had enough toying around with them. Now he's going to give them the real goods. And you could tell they were holding a lot back. They weren't utilizing all of their playbook. There's no way.
Which is expected.
Yeah.
So Jared Goff found tight end Sam Laporta for a 17-yard completion to get the Lions a red zone opportunity in today's practice. There was the end of the quarter drill, I guess, end of the quarter drill ends in a field goal for the Lions. So do you remember that series where the Lions drove all the way down to the 18-yard line in a drill that started with a minute on the clock, and the ball was in the Lions territory? They hit Sam Laporta for a 17-yard completion, got us into the red zone, and then the Texans defense forced 2 incomplete passes, and there was seconds left on the clock to bring the Lions within, kicking range, obviously, and we brought the team out on the field. Jake Bates nailed the 35-yarder. Outside of that, did Jake Bates get enough work in today? How was he looking? He usually kicks right in front there.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I only saw him miss one kick going the opposite way. And when he was kicking towards the building, they did kicking drills with all of the Texans out there. And when they did it from the 35-yard line, Jake Bates kicked it over the building.
Yeah, he's been doing that every week.
Up and over the building. And I saw him attempt a 58-yarder and made it in team drills, and it was 3/4 of the way up the uprights.
Nice.
The thing would have been good from way further out.
The next major question coming in from Trace is Tate Ratledge. Did you get any opportunity to look at Tate? Or I guess the real question would be, did you see any deficiencies on that side of the field? Was there anything glaring happening between Penei Sewell and Tate Ratledge today?
Nope. The offensive line to me looked great. I thought they did an excellent job. There was only a couple of plays, like I said, where Will Anderson got through, and I don't know who 55 for the Texans, because I couldn't see the nameplates for the Texans. And they didn't give us numbers of who they were. So I don't know if that's Daniil Hunter or who it was, but he had a couple of good plays too. And that would have been, I think, when Skipper was in, though, because Skipper was in quite a bit with the ones. Taylor Decker was in some, but there was a lot of plays where Decker was giving him a breather.
Okay, we've kind of pounded the offense a little bit in this phone call today. So, overall, our offense looked really good.
Yes.
Now, conversely, our defense. Now, I know you didn't get to see a ton of this, but tell me if any of the cheers pop into your head when you think about this statement next.
Yep.
And I'll come back to Hendon Hooker. Well, you know what? Before I do defense, give me the Hendon Hooker update, because I know you're pretty excited about that one. He converted on 2 attempts, I guess, in the pass game today.
Yeah, so he had a couple of touchdowns, and I'm telling you, I thought he looked better than Kyle Allen today. Allen had more runs with the 2s, and he was out there more. Allen did have one good touchdown to Dominic Lovett that went for about 70 yards, but the ball didn't travel more than 20 yards in the air.
Right.
But Allen was throwing balls super high over Tim Patrick, putting receivers in harm's way, and balls going on the ground, holding the ball too long. It was like they flipped the script, those two.
Allen was having that trouble in the game too. He was sailing some footballs in the game. It's like he goes high or he goes low.
Yeah.
But then again, he'll throw strikes when he needs to. So Hendon Hooker found Dominic Lovett of all players today in the end zone twice today.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, the first 2 completions were to Dominic Lovett that went for a long gain down the left side, and then the second completion was a 17-yard gain up the middle.
Something like that, yeah. I just remember that Dominic Lovett did have a nice long touchdown. Yeah, he looked really good today. It was like Allen and Hooker traded places today of what player they were going to be, and then Meeks and Dominic Lovett kind of traded places of what kind of player they wanted to be today. Because Meeks, the first ball thrown to him, puts it on the floor.
Okay.
You know, right through his hands.
How about Isaac Tesla? Was there any Tesla sightings today?
Yes, he was looking really good. But I think Kyle Allen likes Tesla a little too much. He was trying to get to him and threw an interception, trying to get the ball to Tesla every single play. And it got kind of predictable because he was just looking for Tesla on every single play.
So that's exactly, I think, what we saw, in some of these preseason games. Now, I can't remember what happened with Hendon Hooker on that final play last weekend, but predictability, like if you continue to target the same guy, I'll have to go back and watch that play now. Who was he targeting on that final pass play to try to hit that out route, which I can't stand the out route. We've thrown more interceptions this year in practice on that out route than I would care to ever see in a season.
Yeah.
If he was targeting Jackson Meeks or somebody, I can't remember if Meeks was even in, then yeah, of course you're going to jump the route. Like, it's coming. And I'm hoping that John Morton is just doing these things in practice to get these guys reps and knows not to do this crap in the game where you don't, continue to be, predictable. Ben Johnson was fairly good at that. Like I always called him, the mixologist. Any good offensive coordinator needs to really mix it up. A dash of this, a spritz of that, 2 fingers of this, mix it up, shake it, pour it, start over. Go into the next possession. Now it's 2 fingers of that, 3 fingers of this. No chaser, man. Let's go straight downfield. Let's get explosive. Yeah. Hopefully Morton can do that. Let me wind back here. We'll keep on for a few more minutes if you don't mind.
Yep.
You got to run. You just yell at me.
I'm good.
Kirby Joseph's back in practice today.
Yeah, that was nice to see.
And he rips off an interception on CJ Stroud. So apparently Kirby Joseph performed fairly well against the Texans in a 7-on-7 drill, and they limited CJ Stroud to 4 of 6 passing with no pass rush. So they didn't pass rush at all, but they still limited him using the backfield. The highlight of the drill was when Kirby Joseph intercepted CJ Stroud in a pass that was up the middle on his second pass attempt. Obviously, we know that Kirby Joseph led the league last season, hoping that he can come back this year just as strong. No fights today?
Yes.
No, there was.
There was.
Oh.
So I can't tell you who the 2 players were, but they were going at it. It was an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. And the Lions offensive lineman got his Guardian helmet pushed up and over.
Ah, the old hockey move.
And they were tangled up. And guess who got between them to stop it?
Who?
Dan Campbell.
No.
Yep.
Really?
He jumped right in there, and they were done. That was it. That was the end of that fighting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be messing with Dan Campbell either, man. But
Yeah.
I put out that T-shirt, which nobody's bought, by the way, and you could buy it on 313 Threads. It's attached to the channel. I'll put it up again. It's the Detroit Fight Club, man, because we've been having all of these fights this year, and we started off the season like 2 days before the season. I highlighted some information about Dan Campbell in training camp when he was playing, that he started a fight in training camp just to get guys going. And that video went berserk. I don't know. I think like 30,000 people watched it. But yeah, it's been kind of the Dan Campbell Fight Club this year. Even though he doesn't want fights, it's necessary. It's going to happen. It's okay, but let's not take it too far. Like, don't injure yourself, right?
Yeah.
You got to live the fight another day, honestly. So big news out of the Detroit Lions defense today. CJ Stroud went 1 for 5 in 11 on 11 drills today. The Lions defense showed out against one of the league's brightest young quarterbacks in CJ Stroud. The Lions held CJ Stroud for 1 for 5 on 11 on 11 drills. Terrion Arnold breaking up a would-be long touchdown to Nico Collins. So Terrion Arnold's missed a long portion of this year's training camp. He's been reinserted. He's looking great, and that's good news too. Any updates for you on that? Aiden Hutchinson, I heard, had 3 sacks today?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know you couldn't see all the defense, so.
Yeah, the defense was on the absolute farthest away from us as they could be. Now, I did get to see the final 2-minute or 1 minute drill at the end, at the very, very end of practice. They came over to our side, and CJ Stroud did get them down to about the 15, 20 yard line. The drive stalled. They had no time left, so we had to spike the ball, and the Texans kicked a field goal.
Okay. I'm just trying to find one more piece of info here. I'll have to find the number, but I could have sworn, I don't know if that popped up in the chat that someone said that he had 3 sacks, or if I read it in a tweet. But yeah, there was just a video with Aiden Hutchinson post practice that he was talking. Someone asked him a question about contract extension, and it's like, it's practice, right? This is preseason. You're almost getting close to the start of the week, or the start of the season. And you got knuckleheads out there asking him about contract extensions. And it's like, okay, why put that in his head? Like he said today, he's been totally hands off. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He wants to play football. And that's the answer that I expect out of Aiden. He just wants to play football. This kid cares more about this team, this city, and playing football than he does about a contract extension and everything that's going on with it. Like, let's ask him questions about how he feels and how he's doing, how he performed in practice today, or how he feels, some of the other guys around him are playing. And to me, those would have been probably the better questions to ask. And I don't know who asked it. I couldn't really tell. I just think it's just a dumb question to ask at this time. All right, so final update here. Graham Glasgow exited practice today. Evaluation for a lower leg injury. No real timetable, no real answers. I'm sure it's going to be a couple of days before we really hear anything of substance on this. Sione Vaki went down, but then he did bounce back up and was able to finish practice. Looked good today. Hendon Hooker looked good today. Anything else you want to add? Anything that we're missing?
No, I think if it was a real deal game on Saturday, our ones versus their ones, I wouldn't have any trouble putting some money down on the game.
But you would do that anyway.
I know.
All right. Well, I'll let you run. I know you got some driving to do, and then I'll finish this segment up. I'm going to grab some more information here to share with all of the people that joined us. On about 200 people joined us today, Eric. So thank you so much for bringing us your live update.
Nice.
All right. We'll catch you. When are we going to see you back? Monday?
Let's see. Monday.
Okay. All right. Have a good weekend, man. Take care.
Yep. Rock on. Go Lions.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. All right. Nice update by Eric, man. I guess I wish I would have been able to go today, but This is the goal, man, to have somebody in the saddle to be able to do some lives after practice or during practice. Last year, I was going live during practice. I was calling in, and I think Chef was doing the lives, and I would call in, and I would kind of roll through what was happening. That was fun. I love doing that one. Next year, we should be able to do some things a little bit differently than we are doing now, but we'll wait and see. I'm just kind of rolling through all the highlights of the day and kind of seeing what everyone's talking about. But overall, I think that the Lions had a pretty decent practice today. I'm a little bit concerned about Graham Glasgow. Obviously, we have a couple of guys that can step up. But then again, look, I think at this point, we're pretty set on who's going to play center. And if it's not Graham, it's probably Tate. And if it's not Tate, it's probably somebody else that's not on the roster. I can't imagine. I mean, Kingsley has been working, to earn a spot, but is he a starting center? I don't think so. Not with this offense, not at this point. I think that the Lions would probably be looking, maybe to a trade or seeing if somebody does get cut that they could potentially bring in. Hell, maybe Frank Ragnow comes back if Graham Glasgow goes down. We'll leave that out there. Probably slim to none chance, but, maybe he'll come back and play one more season. Wouldn't that be great? All right, I think that's it. I'll take some questions. If you guys want to call in and do any phone calls right now, I'll leave the phone lines open for about 5 minutes. 313-312-0348. Lock it in your phone. That is the number to the show. And it's only on during the show. I know people have been trying to call me at like 3 o'clock in the morning because they're on third shift and they're watching the show and they think the show phone's on. I'm sleeping at 3 a.m. usually. I do want to mention this though. So Josh Paschal, there was some news. If you didn't catch it this morning, if you didn't catch the video that I did a little while ago. So Josh Paschal was supposed to be back. That was the rumor, that he was supposed to be back before cuts and that he was going to be back on the roster. So my question to you guys, obviously in the comments below in the chat right now, and do me a huge favor, when you leave the chat right now, please go to the comment section and just throw something in there real quick. For some reason, the live chat, the live streams, we don't really get a ton of comments. It would really help us out if you could just go do a hashtag Go Lions or, something, right? Even if you don't have a question or a statement, just throw something in there. All right, we got a caller on the line. Who is it?
Hey, what's going on, Will?
What's happening? Who is this?
Oh, it's Wick.
Oh, hey, Wick. I couldn't hear you right at the outset there. What's on your mind, man? What's happening?
Oh man, dude, did you happen to see what I sent you with the interview?
No. When did you send it?
So Brad Holmes talking to somebody about talent making the team.
Uh-huh.
And how he said there's no room for projects.
Uh-oh.
And I thought that was kind of telling.
Didn't I just say that yesterday?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's saying there's no room for if you at this point do not fit in what we're doing and we have to get a project and we have to work on you, you're probably not making it. So
that's,
I don't know, man.
It's interesting, right?
A couple.
It's interesting because you start from a team that has nothing in 2021. You bring in a bunch of projects. You bring in, for 2 straight drafts, everybody's hitting the field and getting significant time. And then now it's different, where this roster is so deep and so loaded with talent. You're going to be cutting some really good football players. I got an article that is supposed to drop here in a couple hours that kind of talks exactly about that. I might have to go now and edit it a little bit and throw in this Brad Holmes conversation. But my article talks exactly about that situation where you're now cutting starters or potential starters. So Brad did exactly what he needed to do in every draft, but now he understands, and it's just the evolution of the team. It's time to fly, right? And
yeah, and I think it makes this this game and this practice a lot more tangible.
Yeah. To Moonscar Blade in the chat.
For a
So
lot of people.
yeah, so the Moonscar Blade in the chat, Hooker will not be, he won't be gone, in my opinion. I think that he'll end up on the practice squad. So if you're saying cut to go to practice squad, I think that that's probably where he would be. He won't be traded. Let's be real about Hendon Hooker. This is the same, and this is not towards you, Moonscar. This is just to everybody. The same ideology about Broderick Martin is the same about Hendon Hooker. If they haven't proven themselves, if they haven't shown anything on tape that is valuable for us to keep them, why would another team trade for them? And speaking of trades, Eric said yesterday on the morning show, maybe some trades were going to happen. And I said, man, you just don't see trades happening at this stage. And then what happens today?
Oh, man. 4 of them.
4 trades. Yesterday, what happens? 4 trades after we hang up the morning show. So, hey, teams are doing some different stuff this year, so maybe Brad Holmes will too. I don't know.
And the interesting thing is they were tackles. They were defensive tackles.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of interesting too, with the conversation you had yesterday. I thought that was interesting.
Here's the thing that I thought was interesting about the Vikings. They traded Harrison Phillips, right? I think it was Harrison Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost positive it was Harrison Phillips. Let me just double check. Because he's
a lot of picks.
Well, he's there.
There was a lot of picks. There was.
Go ahead.
I know that all trades ended up in picks with 3rd to 6th round picks. So that's kind of telling too, but.
So the Vikings agreed to pay $3.7 million of Phillips' $7.4 million salary for 2025. He's 29 years old. He's been a starter for almost his entire career. He projected as a starter alongside Quinnen Williams this year. And they dealt a 2020, the Jets announced that they dealt a 2026 6th round choice to the Browns for Briggs and a 2026 7th round pick. The Jets expect Briggs obviously to play 130 snaps. Hold on here. The Vikings agreed to pay. The Jets also traded 2 6th round picks, 26 and 27, to the Vikings for Phillips and a 27 7th round pick. So they got a player and a pick for 2 6th round picks. My question is, why didn't the Lions do something like that? Now, the Vikings probably wouldn't trade Phillips, to the Lions if we needed some depth. But are they trying to make room? Are the Vikings trying to make room to bring in somebody like Trey Hendrickson?
Ooh.
Why would you get rid of one of your best defensive tackles?
Oh man, no, I didn't even think about that.
Well, of course not. That's my job.
That would make sense. I mean, that's wow. And could you imagine? Oh my.
Well, I know that the Jets are out there surfing, right? I mean, they're out there trying to add some good football players, and Aaron Glenn loves defense. But when I saw that yesterday, I'm like, hold the phone here. Who's on their roster? This is going to be a topic for next week, but whatever. Who's on their roster right now that is going to fill in for Harrison Phillips? Is there a rookie? Like that's the answer that I didn't know. I'm going to look right now because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the depth charge for the.
God, they have so many linebackers on this roster. It's not even funny. There's 20. Okay, so they have Jonathan Allen. They have Jonathan Allen, Javon. They brought in Hargrave. Okay, they're not bringing in Trey.
Too much.
No, I just think when I look at the roster, I mean, they have some immediate backups. They have Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. They don't really have a ton of backups though, but they use a ton of linebackers.
So why do these moves make sense then? That's the question. I'm confused, just like with the conversation you had. Right now, it doesn't make sense. Why would you? I don't.
Well, I mean, here's
draft capital is one thing, but I mean, a 7th and a 6th or 2 sixths. I mean, that's still really not anything to really tip a hat at, you know. So I don't know. I'm.
well, obviously, I think the Jets probably initiated it, or maybe the Vikings were trying to see if anyone was biting on needing a tackle right now. I haven't followed the Jets closely enough to know if they suffered any injuries to their defensive line. Obviously, you know, the Vikings are just trying to stack some picks so they can use for later. Otherwise, I don't know why you would. I mean, typically you would not trade right now. You would wait till cuts because there's going to be some really good guys cut next week
That you could pick up without any more capital.
Exactly.
I mean, that didn't make sense to me. And I was thinking, well, the Jets, first of all, the Jets are on an uptrend anyway. Now, granted, I don't think there's a potential they could reach the playoffs. Do I think they will? Probably not, but they look pretty good. I'm going to be honest. They looked pretty good in preseason.
Preseason, yeah. We'll keep the context there, though, with preseason.
Right. And I think Aaron Glenn, he's got them on the right track, if that, you know what I mean? So I think he's going to be good for them.
Aaron Glenn is going to have the Jets competing in less than 2 seasons. Like I
would say that too. I would say in 2 seasons as well. Yeah.
He needs his own quarterback. Justin Fields is going to be a bridge, truly. I mean, he could try to resurrect his career. He could. And it's still possible because Justin Fields is young enough and Aaron Glenn is the right type of coach to infect Justin Fields with a good, you know, positive outlook. But you give Aaron Glenn 2 full seasons, you know, possibly 3 drafts, but 2 full seasons. He's going to have that team competing the minute that he finds his quarterback of the future, which next year's draft is looking really good for the Jets to find a good quarterback. That team is going to be stacking up with the Lions soon. That's an interesting conversation right there. How about the Jets in a Lions Super Bowl in 2026?
Ooh, wow.
Tell me that wouldn't be good.
No. Hey, I'll go one further than you. A Jets Lions Super Bowl going through Chicago.
Well, that would be great.
Think about that line.
There's the movie that Eric was talking about. That's the made for movie you know, the movie made for whatever you call it. You know, that's the movie that they would be able to create out of this whole thing. Man.
That's an interesting conversation, but to bring it back around full circle back to the Lions with the Pascal situation, where does that leave us? That's
yeah, so that's kind of where I started, right? Josh Pascal. So the initial conversation, like I said, not to try to repeat myself again, is that he was going to be back next week. And let me pull up my
now it's looking 4 to 6. Right?
Now it's looking like it's going to be 4 at a minimum because he's going to have to get stashed on a list. So that's a minimum of 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's week 5 that he'll be able to come back. In my article, what I discuss in here is, you know, looking at all of the hurdles that the Lions are going to have to face this season with all of the lists and all the injured players. So you've got here. I'll just read a section. It says, what, you know, many fans might not realize is that not every player on the summer roster is eligible to make the leap onto the 53-man, right? So players currently on active, physically unable to perform lists or PUP or active non-football injury lists or NFI, those lists face a unique set of rules that can dramatically impact both their season and the team's roster flexibility. This section of my article really describes what the Lions are up against and how they're going to have to play this beautiful game of roster gymnastics to the fullest. And I think what they've already started to do is you brought back Dorsey. They didn't need to do that. Don't know why they did that. They brought back, well, I do know why they did that. They probably did that so they don't burn a spot, you know, of having to cut some players, but also burn a spot that you can't use later. You know, if you have to put somebody on, you know, short-term, you know, PUP or something, or active PUP, you know, throughout the season, or IR to return throughout the season, right? You only get 2 players that you can put on that or have that designation that won't affect your roster. You only get 2 players that can go on IR. Now,
But that's new players in the season, right?
no. What I'm saying, before cuts, you can only have 2 players before cuts with an IR to return designation. So bringing back Dorsey and bringing back Mekhi Wingo right now, they cannot go back on a list. So
that opened up. So that's opening up the Ali McNeil.
No, that's opening up future. That's open because I think you only get 8. I think you only get 8.
Well, you said 2. What is 2? What are the 2 you're talking about?
All right, so the 2 is before cuts.
Okay.
So you can right now you could take let's say Graham Glasgow. Let's say he is injured, but it's only going to be 4 to 6. No, I'm sorry. Let's take Ahmed Hassanin. Let's say it's only going to be a short-term 4 to 6 week thing. You could put him on IR to return before cuts, and that does not.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that does,
new injuries. Right.
Yeah,
right.
so that does not affect your 53-man roster. You essentially get.
It doesn't include the already pre-designated people that are injured.
Yeah, it does not already affect the lists that are out there.
Right,
Because you can only have 8 return. You can have an unlimited amount of guys go to IR, but only 8 can return. And so the trick is getting guys to return. So if my numbers are right, that means you can have 10 guys return, and then I think it's unlimited in the playoffs. But you can have 10 guys return.
You had 3 designated that would most definitely return last week, right?
Well, so you still have Malcolm Rodriguez, Ali McNeil, and Miles Frazier. And then there's Josh Paschal. Those are the 4 that are supposed to come back. Those are the only 4 that I know of that are on a current list right now that should be coming back to this team. Mekhi Wingo and Khalil Dorsey were the other 2, and they are already back.
Okay.
So
and it's pre-cuts.
Correct. So here's what's going to happen now. Next part of my article talks about the new or the non-designated injuries, which is Ahmed Hassanin, Morris Norris, and Tristan Colon. So we can't forget that Tristan Colon also plays center, and we don't know what's going on with his injury. So he went down. He went down August 8th versus the Falcons with an elbow injury. Now the good news is he wasn't placed on injured reserve right away, but his projected date for return is cloudy still. So we don't know. We don't know what's happening with him. So those are the 3 that could end.
His value also goes up now with Glasgow.
Well, of course, but he was going to be on this team regardless.
Right. No, but I'm just saying his value to come back to return goes up because of Glasgow having potential.
Yeah, but if he can't play right now, then you sticking him on your roster is not going to help us. Like if he can't play, he can't play. You're going to have to put him on IR to return. So he
would be part of the 8.
Yeah, so where I'm going with this is you only have 2 IR to return designations. Are they going to use those on Ahmed Hassanin or Tristan Colon? Or is Ahmed just on the roster? It doesn't matter that he's injured. And then after, 24 hours after cuts, then you could put him on IR to return later, which you still have 8 more that you can use. But it's before cuts and it's after cuts. It's 2 totally different sides of the coin. And anyway, this article, which again, it'll come out, I'll post it in YouTube, post as well. It'll be out here in a couple hours. Maybe I'll move it up a little bit now since we're talking about it. But
does anybody move up with the Paschal designation in your opinion?
I think someone stays on the roster now.
So you don't think anybody moves up?
Moves up from what?
Priority, like to watch or like to make the team?
That's what I'm saying. I think someone stays on the team now. So now you have players you have players like Keith Cooper, Isaac Ukwu, Miles Adams, Chris Smith, all those players that could be on the bubble. There was also an injury in practice today too with Pat O'Connor that we didn't talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah, Pat O'Connor went down today too, and I don't have that information in front of me for some reason. But
so that's 2 defensive, right?
Today?
Well, no, with the Paschal designation and then him, so that would be 2 major on the defense.
Could be, yeah. So I can't remember exactly what Eric said, but I could have sworn he had some sort of a wrap on.
Oh, right. Yeah. He had a wrap on his elbow.
Or no. That was Glasgow. But I thought he said something about Pat O'Connor with a wrap on his leg.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that one.
I'll have to ask.
Wrap on the elbow.
I'll have to ask him again. But I didn't see anything in all the Twitter updates either talking about Pat O'Connor. That was something that Eric brought up on our phone call.
Now, here's a silly question, and I know but does the Z situation gain or lose anything with those two?
What, getting good rest that night? You said Z's.
No, Z.
Yeah.
Does Z?
Yeah, I'll still get great rest at night. Absolutely.
Does that get any gain? Does that gain any conversation because of those two?
No, I'll still get 6 hours of sleep. Anytime we talk about Z's, man, it's yeah. I mean, I get great rest thinking about this roster in the way that it is right now.
That's hilarious.
You talk about Zadarius Smith. All right.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Let me go to sleep real quick.
Does the value? I'm saying with those injury designations, does his conversation gain any momentum?
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
So?
For me, it doesn't, because it will for other people. It will for a lot of other people. They're going to be talking about this stuff today, especially with the news of Josh Paschal. I haven't seen anything. No one sent me anything yet. But what I will say is he's out in a hot tub. Where is he? Is he in Costa Rica or is he in Hawaii? I just saw the picture of him in a hot tub with big mountains behind him. That's what I saw. That's what I saw last night. Here, let me find it.
Oh, that's funny.
So you tell me.
Back chilling.
You tell me. Does that mean that he's coming back soon?
No, I didn't say. Now that's not my. I think he's coming back regardless. I don't know when or where that happens. I definitely think we see him in a Lions jersey at some point, whether that's right after week 1 or later in the season. I think it happens. Now, my point is when, because of what Brad Holmes stated, he's not in to people that he has to build, not in the people that he has to work on. So with that conversation in context and situations ensuing through injury, I think every injury that we have on the defensive side, his conversation goes up.
Yeah, I could. I mean, of course, I would. You would have to. You could agree with that. Like, yeah. If you end up having 5 or 6 injuries on your defensive line, of course, that's going to push the envelope to bring somebody like Zadarius Smith back. But that's just calling the pot. Calling or the kettle calling the pot black. Right. Here's your picture of Zadarius Smith. That looks like Costa Rica to me. I mean, that could be Puerto Rico. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at, but that could be Puerto Rico.
Enjoying life, man, living it up.
Right. So to me, he's
training camp.
Here's what I haven't seen from Z. I haven't seen a picture of him working out. I haven't seen a picture of him training.
That doesn't mean he's not.
I know, but I'm just saying. I haven't seen a picture of him working out and training, saying, "Hey, I'm coming back. I'm ready. Like, give me a call, coach."
That doesn't mean that there's not videos going to Darren Campbell either.
I know. Well, all I'm saying here is this. Right now, we have no reason to overreact, and that is why you have this deep issue, this deep problem. It's a good problem to have, but okay, Ahmed Hassanin goes down, and now you automatically, people think that okay, Zadarius Smith is coming back. No, you still have players like Chris Smith, Miles Adams. Well, Josh Paschal, who's going to be coming back, sooner rather than later. Hopefully it's not longer than 4 weeks. You still have Isaac Ukwu. You still have Keith Cooper. So you still have some really good football players on this roster that have yet to get cut or now make the roster because other guys either aren't coming back, they're coming back later than expected, or they do end up getting cut because maybe they're not up to the standard that the Lions want, but we still have a very significant log jam. I mean, again, I posted in this article that you go back to the last 3-4 years of the Lions drafting and then keeping players, it's usually 5 defensive ends and 5 defensive tackles. One year we had 12, combined. We still have a log jam, Wick, with just keeping 10 or 12 this year of good players on this roster that you don't want to get rid of. Now, is Zadarius Smith,
which is an amazing problem to have.
Yes. And so then would you have a major upgrade? Like Zadarius Smith to me is an upgrade that you would put in if Aiden or Marcus Davenport got hurt. He's not an upgrade that you put in if you've gone through your 4th and your 5th and your 6th guy on the roster. Because if you're waiting until the 4th, 5th, and 6th guy on your roster get injured, then you would already have Zadarius Smith in camp. Because your 4th...
that's my point. I think there might have been an agreement that he doesn't go to camp.
Well, that's what I've been saying the whole time. I've been saying the whole time that, number one, it's after week 1 because of the contract situation. Right. Number 2, like we talked about.
What does that mean? Now, what does after week 1 mean? Does that mean after the beginning of week 1 or after the game week 1?
So the close of week 1 for the NFL season.
That's when that goes into effect. So it would be Monday night.
Yeah, whenever the last game is done for week 1, the next morning.
Monday Night Football.
Yep. So the next morning is when Zadarius Smith could find his way back to a team because his guaranteed portion of his contract will not be guaranteed.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay.
Right. And so then after that, it's like we talked about the poker chip theory. Right. The poker chip theory is do we keep Zadarius Smith or does Zadarius Smith keep himself available to just one team? And that is if we need you during the season due to injury, number 1. Number 2, playoffs. We bring you back for the playoffs only.
If we make the playoffs, you're guaranteed. If we make the playoffs, you're guaranteed a spot on the team, kind of thing.
Yeah, and a salary.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think that was a good analogy and a good thought process on the situation.
Yeah.
However, as a football player, is that something you're looking for? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what Ndamukong Suh was doing.
Fair. But Ndamukong Suh is also an interesting character, to be fair.
I think they're all interesting, but when you get to a certain age, you don't want to put your body through as much. Fair. You want to just be fresh.
That's fair. So I got one more. All right. And here it is. This because I've been seeing this a lot. Okay. Who is the number 1 running back on the Detroit Lions?
Well, it's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Is he?
Yes.
It really?
1,000%.
So the vet, David Montgomery, goes to number 2.
It's more of a 1A 1B situation.
That's what I think too. But my this is my thing, okay? Because this is, I've seen the interview with Gibbs, and I think I brought that up to you before, right? Where the lady said, you're the top running back for the Lions, and the look on his face was nah. I mean, you're kind of forgetting somebody else, and because he's a vet, right? So as a vet, he's automatic. You got respect for him as the lower on the totem pole, right? Who's the lowest on the totem pole? Say that one more time. That's why I think David Montgomery is going to come out angry. Is because of that, because so many people are putting him down the list.
I mean, so a lot of fans are putting him down on a list, or a lot of the analysts are.
Oh, dude, it's everywhere. Everybody thinks that Jahmyr Gibbs is number 1.
Well,
everywhere you go.
I think you'd have to be naive to think that Jahmyr Gibbs.
I love Jahmyr Gibbs. That's not my point. My point is that David Montgomery is David Montgomery as well. He is a very, very good running back as well.
Okay, so
and he's the vet who has earned, who should have the respect because of where he's been already.
So the question is not so much who's one or two on the team. The statement is more, I think that Jahmyr Gibbs, or you think that David Montgomery is in his feelings right now because everyone's kind of putting him down on the roster.
No, I don't think he gives a crap about what other people are saying.
Well,
That's not my point. I think he's going to come out with a purpose because they're doing it. I don't think he gives a crap about what they're saying. What I'm saying is I think it's a little, what's the word? Disconcerting. It's a little messed up to leap him because David got injured last year.
Yeah, towards the end of the season.
For how many games was he injured last year?
5 or 6 games.
Right. So he sat out the last half of the season.
Yeah. Well, the last third.
Right, last third of the season. Right. So, I feel like everybody just took Gibbs and threw him in front of him when they're really side by side, and I agree with that statement. I do. But I also agree that Dave Montgomery has kind of earned respect to be above, if that makes sense. Like, because he's the vet and because he's been around, what, four more years? Right?
I think this is his 7th season maybe, or 8th season.
Right, 7th or 8th, and this is Jahmyr's 3rd, right?
Yeah, so I'll put it to you this way. I don't think any Lions fans have lost any sort of respect for David Montgomery. I think if anything, we respect the hell out of him because of what he does, and he is a little bit of a different runner than what Jahmyr Gibbs is stylistically. If you had to roll with David Montgomery for an entire game, he'll do just fine. If you have to roll with Jahmyr Gibbs for an entire game, he's going to do just fine. I think that the issue that we have and why either fans are feeling this way or analysts are feeling a certain way, it's because of the way that Ben Johnson orchestrated the offense. It was Jahmyr Gibbs goes in for a series, David Montgomery goes in for a series. Jahmyr Gibbs goes in for a series, David Montgomery goes in for a series. And then maybe in some series, David Montgomery gets some short down and distance work, and then Jahmyr gets some short down and distance work. So it's kind of hard to really put your finger on who exactly is the number one running back, or is there really a number one running back? And both of these guys are just going to share the load and do their job. And that's what I think it is. I think it's, hey, you're better in this situation right now. You're going to get inserted into that situation right now. If you're banged up, then you're going to get more of the load. Jahmyr, if you're banged up, David's going to get more of the load. I think it's just an equal sharing opportunity, and neither one of these guys gives a crap about titles other than a Lombardi. That's what I think.
No, I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I definitely, like I said, I agree that they're both number ones on another team for sure.
Oh, 1,000%.
And I agree. Yeah, and I definitely agree that they're both number ones. But if you look at the Lions depth chart, David Montgomery's number one.
If you look at the depth chart, what?
He's number one.
The Lions depth, by the way, the Lions depth chart's not right. I went to it again. I tried to use it yesterday or the day before, and I get sick of this every year, and I don't know why. Every year, they have problems with their depth chart, and I'm on their site right now, and I'm trying to find it. Team, there we go. Right. Team. So you go to the team roster.
Yep.
You can whittle it down by position, and you can whittle it down by number. So if you're looking at just the Detroit Lions website, which is DetroitLions.com/team/players-roster, then there's really not a true depth chart. It's just a roster, right? If you go
on the app.
Yes, so the app is where the issue is. Now I'm going to go to the app. And when I go to that roster, are you looking at an unofficial depth chart for the previous games?
It's the one that's that when you go to team and then you pull up depth chart. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you go in here for depth chart, I'm wondering if they fixed it over the last 24 hours too. All right, we'll go to offense. So under running back, yeah, it has David Montgomery listed first. This looks different than it did the other day.
So here's my thing right now. So like fantasy football people, right? This is kind of in that realm of situations, right? I don't play it because I don't gamble or I don't get into that kind of thing. But like, my opinion is this: I think everybody's overlooking David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery knows that. And I think he's going to come in as the number one, which is why Jahmyr Gibbs has agreed to take more reps at receiver. And what I think is going to happen is everybody's going to be betting on Jahmyr Gibbs to get most of the carries, but I don't think he's going to. Now, granted, that's not saying that he's not going to get carries.
And that's why,
carries,
though.
I think David Montgomery is going to be number one.
I think so. Eric brought this up the other day too, and he felt that David's going to get more looks as a running back because Jahmyr is going to be inserted in the pass game.
Yes.
And that could be on the same play.
Right.
Right. But I will tell you this. Pound for pound, back for back, Jahmyr Gibbs is the better running back. There is no doubt. There's no question. There's zero question about that. Huh?
In elusiveness and speed, I would give him that for sure.
I mean, anything. The only thing, he can run through the tackles. He can run outside. He can, he can, anytime he touches the ball, he's one juke away from a touchdown. Now, David Montgomery has also shown some explosiveness and has also shown that, you make contact with him, he's just going to bowl you over and keep on going.
Right. He's a power back.
Yeah. And Jahmyr's not built that way. Jahmyr's more built to, get outside, get as many yards as he can, try not to make contact, to live, to fight for another play. However, if it comes down to Jahmyr knowing that he has to get to the sticks and it's at the end of the game, he's not running out of bounds. That dude's going to run straight into you. He has no worry about making contact. He just knows when to be smart. All these guys know when to be smart. But pound for pound, I would say
it's another really good problem to have. I just think the conversation is weird at how David has been left out of the conversation. That's my point. Like,
he's not left out here. I'll tell you that.
It's pretty disrespectful. No. I'm talking about across the board.
Yeah. Like, I get what you're saying.
Disrespectful.
I get what you're saying. But to your point, so you had to bring up the depth chart today for the Lions. Now that I'm looking at it, it's changed. It looks great now. Now everybody's inserted. Because the other day I was trying to use their depth chart to do my 53-man roster, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, there's players not even on this depth chart that are on the team. And
so are they... does that mean that they addressed some of the things? Is that like a...
No, it's fixed.
Foreshadowing?
Now everybody is where they should be as far as listed somewhere.
So is it a foreshadowing to the 53?
No. What I'm not saying someone.
So?
I'm not saying someone listened to my gripes and hype about the Lions. My gripe was that every year, whoever controls and does their website sucks at doing the roster and the depth chart, and they never get it done on time. It's always way late, and every other team out there that I look at, all of their stuff seems to be right, but the Lions is always wrong. And now all of a sudden, 36 hours later, it looks great. So maybe someone was listening. I love you, Lions. I love you, but there's just some things that they just don't tidy up. And that's why I have to use other sites that get it right, or make my own, which is what I do now. So I just got to stay up on top of it.
I think Dave Montgomery's going to have a bounce back year. He's going to have an impressive year, and I think it's going to be very balanced between the two, but I think that Dave Montgomery's going to have an amazing year. That's my opinion.
Well, I think he will too. There's no doubt about that. I think David Montgomery is just as important to this team as Jahmyr Gibbs is. There's without a doubt. That's why he was given a contract extension, and he'll probably be given another one if needed. Let me wind back. Let me wind back to one more topic here, and then I got to run too. But I want to go back to Penei Sewell. So I did bring up his PFF stats and everybody else's, and I never finished that thought. So if I told you that Penei Sewell's pass blocking was worse than Taylor Decker's, would you believe it?
Well, I mean, to me, it's about the tape, right? So I from what I remember, I don't remember too many people sacking Jared Goff because they got past Penei Sewell.
It wasn't
Now,
about
granted,
sacks.
That could have been right, and it could have been because of the shift, like the way the blocking was, and maybe he was just too far out and Goff got rid of it quick enough, right?
Yeah.
But I do remember pressure.
That's the problem.
Remember pressure from that side. I do remember that.
Well,
but I can't remember too many where there was a sack from that situation.
He didn't really give up many sacks. If he gave up one, I think he might have given up one. But
I do think I remember one.
Pressure is different, and I would say pressure stats are different in the way that they're calculated. But what I will say is it seemed like Penei was getting beat quite often, and he was struggling on that side in pass pro quite often. Jared was getting the ball out last year in like under 2.6 seconds, which is extremely fast. He was one of the fastest in the league to get the ball out, to get through his progressions, to get the ball, because he was forced to. If he was in the gun, I mean, he had a little bit more time, but if he was having to, drop back, I mean, just look at the Washington game. We got smoked in that game, and we had all sorts of pressure on Jared Goff, and that's part of the reason why he had so much difficulty in that game, along with the other players. The timing was off, and when if you disrupt the timing to your offensive line, it's going to disrupt the timing to Jared Goff, and if Jared Goff is disrupted, well, now the receivers are disrupted. It's a whole chain link of events that happen.
Yep.
But last year, get this.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, so get this. Taylor Decker. It was Taylor Decker, then Spencer Brown, Luke Odecki, Darnell Wright, and then Penei Sewell. And it doesn't give me the number of where they're at, but I want to say that this is down in the 30s. So Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell both were outside the top 32 for pass blocking last year. Now the one thing that I can add to this is like the minimum number of snaps, and I don't think that's really going to matter a whole lot, because
that's an interesting conversation when you look at the interceptions too.
Well, okay, so go back to the game that Jared had 5 interceptions against. Was it the Texans?
Yep.
Yeah. So go back and look at the problems that we were having, and that was because Jared Goff was getting
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jared Goff otherwise throws a very clean game. Very, very clean game. The Texans was the worst game that we had last year for Jared Goff, but he found a way to rise above it.
So now here's an interesting question. So with the addition at guard next to Sewell, is he better at pass rushing?
Say that one more time.
Or run, or is he better at passing or running? The new guard.
Tate Ratledge?
Tate Ratledge, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I say Tyleek Williams.
Yeah, I know. I don't know yet because I haven't seen him, really in an extended time up against number one.
No, I'm talking about his stats were in Ohio State, right? Was he at Ohio State?
Tate Ratledge?
Tyleek. No, that was Tyleek.
That was Tyleek.
Yeah. Okay, so I get them both mixed up. Okay, so I'm talking about his college career. Was he better at pass or was he better at run?
Tate was great at everything.
Okay, so maybe that's shoring that up, helping Penei.
Well, if you look at who was next to Penei last year,
right,
it was not Graham Glasgow. Graham was on the left. When Graham was on the right,
who was next to him?
When Graham was on the left, he had a bad year. When Graham was on the right, he had better games, and so did Penei.
Right.
Our right tackle last year, or right guard last year, was Kevin Zeitler, and so you wouldn't expect that you would have any drop off because that's an all-pro, guard playing next to Penei Sewell. But for some reason, the pass pro
maybe they didn't mesh. Maybe they didn't mesh, and that's why we didn't bring him back.
No. Kevin was gone anyway. He wanted to go back home.
So you think he was 1-year deal no matter what?
Yes. They were not going to pay him what what he wanted, I'm sure, but he probably wanted to go back home anyway. The point that I'm trying to make here is pass protection is largely an independent job right? You have to be great at your one-on-ones. And Penei Sewell out on the ends is usually, lined up in a one-on-one situation, and he was not always winning his one-on-ones. You could see, even back in practice, I was saying that I noticed some things about Penei Sewell, but throughout the season, Penei was getting his ass kicked. I mean, you go back to the Bucks game, the first Bucks game away in Tampa in 2023. That was a really tough game for him.
So you're talking about his first step when you say kick, right? His first step.
No, I didn't say that.
Sorry?
I didn't say that, no.
Oh, what did you say? You're getting bad.
I said his first. I said you go back to the first game against the Bucks back in 2023.
He was getting bad.
He was getting his ass kicked. He looked bad.
Oh, he's getting his ass kicked. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I missed the first word. Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is there's been a trend here that Penei Sewell's pass pro is just not been great. So anyway, I just wanted to go back and touch on that both of those guys are outside the top 32 last year.
Well, and to be fair, he's also going against probably the best tackle on every team.
Best end, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so
or the worst, or sometimes the worst end. I mean, typically what teams are going to do, like our team does with Aiden, is you don't put your best end on the best tackle. If there's another guy on the other side, on the right side of the offensive line or the defensive line, you put your best end where you have the best opportunity to get after the quarterback. It just depends on the defensive end. Do they bend left better than they bend right, or do they bend right better than they bend left? If you're right-handed, I think you bend left better than you bend right. If you're left-handed, then you're going to bend right better than you bend left, because then your dominant hand is on the outside, right? Or even conversely, your dominant hand on the inside of you when you're bending, you've got a bigger strong arm stab, to your left if you're left-handed. You're right-handed, like Aiden, coming to on the right. He's down on the left and he's going to the right. He's got a stronger right-hand stab, on the left side of the defense. So all of that stuff matters.
Better on the left side for sure.
Yeah. So you always put
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if you have somebody like Aiden on another team, I mean, 90% of his time he's going to be going against Sewell. Because that's where he's best at. Now, granted, you're going to move him. I'm not saying, they like we move Hutch, or he stands up, or, he's down, or he stands up, or he move him a little bit, or whatever. But generally speaking, the best one on the left is going to go that way. So it's an interesting. Not saying that he's good. That's not my point. I'm just saying it's an interesting conversation because, man, it's kind of weird when you think about Penei. You think that he's top tier.
I mean, generally he is. I mean, last season he had 5 games in a row that he was graded a 75 or higher. In 3 of those games, he was 80 or higher. That was week 3 through 8. And then he had 4 bad games in a row. Green Bay, Houston, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis. He was ranked below 67. And then he had a good game.
Which is interesting because didn't we kick the crap out of Green Bay and Indianapolis?
Green Bay was a tighter game. Houston was an extremely tight game. Jacksonville, we smoked him. Houston, we smoked him.
Yeah.
And then you go to
Indianapolis one.
And then you go to week 13 against Chicago. He had a good game, at least grade-wise for pass block. And then the next week against Green Bay, he shit the bed with a 54. And then a good game against Buffalo, which we put up a bunch of points. And then he shit the bed against Chicago with a 47. And then against San Francisco.
That's interesting because Buffalo is a tougher opponent. So that's what I'm kind of looking. It almost seems like he plays.
Buffalo's a tougher opponent on offense, not defense.
Okay, that's fair.
They don't have a defense. Everybody was boat racing when they were playing the Bills.
Okay, that's fair, right?
That's all it was for us. Whose engine was? That's what I said before the game. Whoever has the bigger engine in this game is going to win. And our engine sputtered out in the third quarter, and we couldn't get it going again. And then we got it going again. It was just too late. We finished one touchdown shy or whatever. And then week 18,
that was a devastating game.
Week 18 against Minnesota. He had a great game. He put up an 81. But overall, when you look at his pass pro, There's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Half the season. Half the season he is, I mean, he's probably bottom third of the league in pass pro.
Wow.
And then there's half the season that he's, the upper, probably 10, tackles. So it's like this huge bipolar dip, it's this huge, you got the mountaintop that he's doing great at, and then he's down in the valley the next week. So that's my biggest concern.
Hold on a second now though. Okay, so here's an interesting thought process on that one. If I remember correctly, a lot of those games were throw heavy.
Say that again.
A lot of those games were throw heavy. It started out with the run, but we went away from it.
Well, there's only like two games. There's only 2 games last year that we really threw the ball a lot.
And the Houston game was one, right?
I mean, I can tell you in just a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Houston game definitely was one because he threw 5 picks.
But that doesn't mean we threw a lot of passes.
It seems like I remember a couple games where we went away from the run. And we came back to it like in the fourth quarter, but like right after halftime, for some reason, we didn't run the ball.
We always seem to go away from what was working.
There was a huge slump after halftime, coming out of half, right? That was last year, right?
Against Houston?
No, like all year. It seemed like we would come out at halftime, and it would be like it would take a while for us to kind of.
Well, our third quarter was a little bit better last year than it was in 2023, but in 2023 we couldn't score a touchdown in the third quarter.
To save our lives, right?
Yeah, we couldn't. All right, so I'm looking at.
And last year was so bad.
I'm looking at 2024 right now, or I thought it was.
I would have never put Penny like that in that. I mean, seriously, like that's kind of weird. I just never realized it was that because you don't see sacks from that side,
Okay, so in week against Buffalo, we've put up the ball 59 times.
Okay.
Against Green Bay, December 5th, we put up the ball 41 times. I would say anything over 40 is a ton. Right? Okay. That's just not our MO. I think our MO is, anywhere from 25 to 30 attempts on average for Jared Goff, and you're going to have about the same, in the run game.
What was the Houston game?
30.
32.
So right in our MO, man. That's right where we are. If you go back to the beginning of the year, it's 28, and then against Tampa Bay was 55. And then 23, then 18, then 25, then 25. This is attempts per game. So I'll start over. Week 1, 28, then 55, then 23, then 18, then 25, then 25, then 15, then 22, then 30, then 29. So the games that we start getting up towards 25 to 30, we're going away from the run. Indianapolis, we put up the ball 36 times, and I have no idea why. I will never understand this. We were smoking them in the very beginning of that game, and then it's like we just let off.
I remember that. Yep.
34 against the Bills.
So far, what I'm hearing is the two games that we lost were really high in the pass game.
Yes,
a lot of passes.
It's exactly right. 59 against Buffalo, and 55 against Tampa Bay. And I said it before the last half of the season. I said the minute we start putting up the ball more than 30 times, your likelihood of throwing an interception is tenfold. You put the ball up over 40 times, your likelihood of throwing a third interception is tenfold. You put up the ball 50 times or more, if you don't throw 3 interceptions in that game, I would be surprised.
Well, against number 1 DBs, I mean, you can't expect to get away with it that many times. I mean, for real. I mean, they're gonna see you. There's nothing you can do about that. They're gonna see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway,
so,
thanks for dialing it. Oh, I just lost my ears. Thanks for calling in. I got to get running here, but tons of more conversation that we can have later about this situation. But Panay Sewell Definitely going to pay attention to his pass pro this year. I can't hear you if you're talking, so got to give me a minute.
No, yeah, I hear you.
Definitely going to pay attention to his pass pro this year and see if Tate Ratledge addition to this team is going to, help Penny Sewell. Gosh darn it. I don't have ears now at all. I got to get a new cord. But anyway, Wick, I'm just gonna let you run, man. I can't hear you anyway, since I don't have my ears in, and we'll catch up either later. Have a good day, man.
Right on.
Hopefully I didn't hang up on him, like really hang up on him. Anyway, I'm going to get rolling. I did want to recap, obviously, today's practice with Eric. We got that done. Some good conversation with Wick today, and him bringing some questions for us. Obviously, it led us down a little bit of a rabbit hole and talking about Penei Sewell a little bit deeper and what's going to happen with this team if we can't run the ball effectively, if we can't do what's winning, what's working, and we have to get away from it. It just shows by last season, as a snapshot, the more we put up the ball in the air, the less effective we became. And whether that was the type of call that was made by Ben Johnson, the type of routes that were run, or if it was just the defense that we were playing up against and them figuring out, what Ben Johnson was doing. And so you're putting up the ball more, because it was either a shootout versus Buffalo or, against a team like Tampa, it was a tight game. And matter of fact, the run yards in that game, I wonder what they were for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I don't have those stats in front of me. But anyway, more on this stuff later. We'll catch you guys later. Appreciate you guys. Go Detroit Lions. And we'll see you in the next one.